Sandra here from Create in Spain. Today's video is on pivot cards. Now all of these that I'm going to show you are actually double pivot cards. I've also included a file for a single pivot as well, which is just less complicated. And it's very easy to put these cards together. I know this looks complicated. This is just one cut, literally one piece of the card cut. So when you look at it from the inside, this is what you see. Now I was inspired to do this by, I think it's Burniston. I'll put a link to a file, a link to a YouTube video down below. So the basic piece for this card looks like this. Hopefully you can see the little lines up here. And the concertina, or the pivoting, is made possible by these angled lines here. Now, when you're making a file for this, you have to have everything regular. So what I did was I started off, in this particular case, I have rounded rectangles, which are 5, I think it's 5 by 8. The height makes no difference really, as long as it's high enough to do the design you want. But 5 centimetre rounded rectangles. And I put all these together next to each other. And this piece here would be what I class as the design section. Now, this is the file for a basic pivot. This is a single pivot. The double one is very similar. It's just extended to the sides and has 4 pieces rather than the 2 here. It's all done in one piece regardless, so it doesn't make much difference from that point of view. Now I'm pretending I'm going to make a Halloween card, and I have some pumpkins here. So I'm going to put my pumpkins in here and see how they are. I'm just going to roughly line them up. It's not desperate, but that's pretty much in the middle. Now at the moment, if I were to cut these out, then you would just be left with bits because they wouldn't be joined up. So that's definitely not what we want to do. I'm going to make these transparent first of all. I'm going to take the colour away. So as you can see, we have areas that would be cut out. All this would be cut out. We just end up with a pile of bits. That's definitely not what we want to do. So the first thing I want to do is to basically combine this with the rest of the design. So I'm going to select my pieces here and hide them. So I don't want to have those affected at all, and I'm just going to take the entire lot here, right click and path union. There we go. Now the trouble is I've now lost my lines. So I'm going to undo that. I'm going to take this piece here and I'm going to copy and paste it and just move it out the way so I know where it's supposed to be. And now I'm going to go to the path and union. Right, so these need to go up there. I can remove that tiny little hole there if I want to, or I can keep it. It doesn't really make that much difference. So now I want to pick these up, put them where they were originally, which is pretty much there. And now I want to show all the things that I originally switched off. So where I have these pumpkins now is actually going to be a cut line. But I want to make sure that when I use these here, I take a little piece out of that cut line. Now you don't want to move them from side to side. You do that, you're going to wreck the design completely. You can move them up and down and put them basically wherever you want them. So I could have that one there. And I can move this one up. Move that down a tad. That needs to go down a bit more. Yeah, that will do. And this one here is probably not going to be very useful because of the stalk, but you know, I will put it there anyway. It's got a little bit of clearance, but not a vast amount. Put this one up here, so that's okay. I'm going to take the eraser and just switch that to a round one. Just going to take off that little cut line just there. Okay. And now I want to erase the bit of the pumpkins that's within the edge of that triangle. So just erase there. You can do it with the knife if you want to. I just choose to do it with the eraser. I'm going to take it down a size to make it a bit easier to use. And there we go, that's that one off. I'm sorry if you can hear my computer fan starting up, but I don't think they like QuickTime. And there we go. So that would be our basic cut file, and then I could have these pumpkins. I did a smaller version. I can cut those out and put it on top. So I will send that to the cutter and make sure that the pink lines are score lines and nothing else. Now, if you want to, if you're particularly bothered, you can put the score line that goes on these tabs. To be honest, I just assume do that quickly by hand when I get it out of the cutter. It doesn't make much difference. And then I want to have 4 of these cut. So object, duplicate, 2, 3, 4. Okay. And apart from my outer card and the decorating of the outside of the card, that is the cut work basically done. This one here I forgot to mention, I've actually done in a kind of elongated cloud shape, and that was just to demonstrate that you don't have to have straight lines. You can put these up and down as needed. You just put a little gap in between the triangle edges and your shape will be fine. Just make sure that you keep those in the same vertical plane as they are. Don't separate them, move them further apart, and don't move them from side to side. Now, if you like the ones that I've done before, I think you're going to like this one. Here is my mega version. So this is actually basically 2 of those same single ones put together to make a very big one. Again, this is one piece of card which is stuck down on the sides, and you train it by doing the concertina in the same way that we did with the other one, and then you close it up and it will open like that. So you could have it that way. It also looks quite nice done that way. I've done another one of these, but this I simply scaled it down just by using the scale function on the computer. And this one I've made slightly smaller. I mean, all these are prototypes because I'm just using card that I've got hanging around. I haven't done the design elements on them yet. And this one is done exactly the same way. But with this one, what I've done is I folded it slightly different for this layer. So as you can see, these are staggered. So one goes in, one goes out, and then the next one goes in. And then they actually fold on those little edges of the triangles. So you have yet another dimension to put various things on, whatever you want to do with it. Or you can flip it out and you can have it exactly as it was before. And it's that way, that way. That one goes up, that one goes down, and then this one goes up. So you can do it whichever way you like. Obviously the bigger one you could flip as well if you wanted to. And you could even put on extra layers on top of that if you wanted to. No reason why not. In this particular instance, I have made the triangles go outwards from the design space, basically. On this one, you can see that the triangles are going inwards. On this one, they are going out. So if you want to make the most use of those spaces and make sure your triangles face out from them, obviously if you're doing it this way, you're going to have a little bit of interference with your design because of those triangles coming in. This one, even though it's smaller, you don't have any interference because the triangles are flipped so they face outwards. They are still on the same vertical, if I put it up this way, same vertical plane, one on one side of it, one on the other, or horizontal plane if you're looking in this direction, but they are moved so that they face out and don't face in, so you don't have any cuts taken out of the faces there. So there we go, that's those. This is the card that I've made for Halloween using the pivots, and as you can see, it's pretty dimensional. So what I did with this one is I cut out the file that I've actually put in the link below. I had some sparkly gold vinyl, which I thought was quite good because it's sort of crepey looking, and so I decided to cut out a couple of leaves from that. I put in a boo sentiment and I just put it onto the inside there, and then I did a little bit of line drawing, only a tiniest little bit, onto my pumpkins. They're cut out so that the brown behind shows through, so I didn't have to do any colouring on that. And the front, I quickly applied a few leaves in different sizes, cut out my Happy Halloween. I went around over the top of these leaves with a blending brush and some dark ink, and I think it might have been espresso or something like that, and I just stuck the Happy Halloween on. So that's an example of the very, very simple single pivot. Okay, I didn't actually have one of those to demonstrate earlier, and I've just realised because I've done this as a Halloween card, I'm going to have to put this video up a lot earlier than I intended. Okay, I hope you've enjoyed all that little lot and it gives you some food for thought. Take care now.